Welcome to Cricket Crafts by Jo. In today's video I'm going to show you how to colour in an embossed image using distress inks. This is my final project. To create this I used an embossed image that I drew myself using the Perfect Medium Ranger pens and my Cricut Explorer. To see this video on the pens and how to use them, click on the link above. In addition to your chosen embossed image, you'll need the following items. Your chosen ink, I'm using the Distress Ink Minis, in the colours Candied Apple, Picked Raspberry, Squeezed Lemonade, Wilted Violet and Mermaid Lagoon. I prefer the mini inks to the big inks because they're a hell of a lot cheaper and it means I can have a wider selection of colours. You will also need something to use to apply your ink to your card. I'm using the mini ink blending tool by Ranger that I bought from Amazon for around £5. If you haven't got this though, you can use some cut and dry foam or something similar. And a water spray bottle. The embossed image which I drew using my Cricut is just of flowers and hearts, and I've embossed it in clear powder so it's not showing up too well on camera. Just going to place that down on my craft mat and using some masking tape just attach it to the board so it doesn't move and stays in place while we're working on it. I've noticed that I've fastened it upside down to my mat and I have no idea why I decided to work on it upside down, but hey ho. I'm going to start with my first colour here and I'm using the Candied Apple Red first. And when applying your ink to the paper, apply it in circular motions rather than up and down or left to right. The reason for this is that the ink blends a lot better and doesn't create sharp edge lines. These ink blending tools are also round to help you achieve a better blended edge. They were traditionally rectangular and occasionally when using them you could get quite a sharp edge of dark colour also. So if you can afford to buy these round sponges, then I would definitely recommend it as it creates just a much better blended project in the end. The next colour I'm going to go in with is a purple Wilted Violet, and when picking up your ink on the pad you literally just tap the very surface of the ink pad. I cannot stress enough, do not press down hard. You literally just need to glide the sponge over the top, because if you press too hard then your sponge will pick up quite a large amount of the ink, and then when you stamp or circular motion your sponge onto your paper, it will leave a quite hard, heavy colour which will be quite hard to then blend in. You'll have noticed that I've done test patches on the side of this card. Now you don't have to do this, but I just find that it just works the ink all the way around to the complete circle of the sponge. The ink pads are square, so when you dab your sponge down onto the ink pad you will get a square shape on your circle. So I just work it round on the side of the card just to move all the ink across the whole of the circle sponge, so when I sponge it on my image it won't start with a square, if that makes sense. I'm going to go with a blue next, and this blue is Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm just working it onto the flower to the side of the large purple one and then just bleeding it across into the larger purple flower just to blend the colours. This Mermaid Lagoon colour I think has to be one of my favourites, so I'm just going to go across and colour another blue flower in. And this time I'm seating it next to the red heart, and so I'm just going to bleed it into the red slightly, and you'll notice it creates quite a similar colour to that of the Wilted Violet. I've decided to just darken the heart up a little bit, so just going back in with my red over it. And the next colour I'm going to use is Squeezed Lemonade, and this is a yellow colour. And you'll notice that I'm using the same dabber for the reds and the yellow colours, because you don't really need to change them, because very little ink actually soaks up into the sponge. And you'll notice it's created quite a cool green colour between the yellow and the blue, and then the purple again. So I'm just going to bring this yellow down, and as I come away from the red and the blue, you'll notice that the true yellow of this colour is really beginning to show. And it's quite a pretty yellow for if you want a yellow that's fairly close to the orange spectrum. So the last colour that I'm going to use is a pink, and this pink is called Picked Raspberry, and I'm just going to use it to go in and highlight the little flowers that are down in the bottom right corner by the purple and blue flowers. This pink on its own is quite a bright pink colour, but as you can see I'm blending it with the purple and the blue, and it actually creates a really nice magenta-y pink, and it's one that I like using with the purple and the blue quite a lot. Want a heavy colour, rather than pressing down the sponge into the ink really hard, you're much better to work in layers and just build it up. As you can see here, that's what I'm doing. I'm just going over and over the same place just to work the colour up to a colour that I'm happy with, really. One thing in particular that I have noticed when working with distress inks is that it takes the colour a few minutes to set and dry. When I first started using them, I was just finding that I wasn't happy with my project at all, and looking at other people's work and thinking, well, how do they get it like that? How do they get it to look so blended? And it was because I was comparing my work instantly to other photos and not leaving it a few minutes to allow the ink to dry and settle. So don't worry too much if sometimes it looks like it's not blended very well. It will dry and the colour will kind of settle down and separate out slightly. Another great thing about the distress inks in particular is that you can then spritz them with water. So I'm going to show you this step next, but if you don't like the water spritzing effect, then you don't have to do it. It just adds a little bit extra to your project, I think, particularly if you're wanting to create a galaxy background effect or something similar. The great thing about using embossing powder to create an image is that you can ink all over it and the ink won't stick to the embossing powder at all, so it's quite a quick, easy way of being able to colour particularly a large area in. And this is my finished article with the inks, and yeah, quite like it. It's quite pretty, so I'm gonna go and spritz it now. I've just filled my water spritzer with some lukewarm water, as I find this works best, and just literally spray your project from about 20-30 centimetres high. The further away you do it, the more of a finer mist it creates. And if you want to create a slightly blotchier look, then you can, after you've sprayed it, go in with some kitchen towel and just blot the water on the ink. Then all you need to do is just let your water dry. If you're really impatient like I am, then you can use your heat tool and just lightly move it around over the paper to help the water dry a bit quicker. All the hints and tips in this video and all my others are just what I have learned and picked up along the way. I am not an expert in any of this, so don't take my word as gospel. Here are a few snapshots of the project once it has dried off, and I think I'm going to perhaps mount it and use it on some black cardstock for a card. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks now, bye!